You said that in your view, they want nuclear weapons, and they would not be shy about using them.
That is my belief.
If they had them.
Yes.
I found that interesting because one of the last times we talked, you suggested that one of the concerns you had about the past, about decisions you've made in the past, was that you took perhaps too much belief in intelligence reports that you got. And we're talking specifically about Iraq. Yeah. But on this one, to say what you've said, are you confident in the intelligence you've seen to be convinced that A, they want nuclear weapons, and B, they would use them if they had them?
Well, Peter, on the first question, I think the evidence is just growing overwhelming. This is not, as it was the case of Iraq, merely now the opinion of allies. I think the International Atomic Energy Commission, if you look at its work, there really is no secret that Iran's nuclear program has as one of its purposes the development of nuclear weapons, and that I think is just beyond dispute at this point. I think the only dispute is how far advanced it is and how far off it will be until they actually develop those weapons and develop the capability of delivering those weapons.
They're lying when they say they're not.
I think there is absolutely no doubt they are lying. Absolutely no doubt. On the second question, you know, that's obviously, Peter, more a matter of judgment. I mean, I've watched and listened to what the leadership in the Iranian regime says, and it frightens me. You know, these are, in my judgment, these are people who have a particular, you know, a fanatically religious worldview, and their statements imply to me no hesitation about using nuclear weapons if they see them achieving their religious or political purposes, and that's, you know, that's, I think that's what makes this regime in Iran particularly dangerous.
Well, if you believe that and it scares you, why is no one doing anything about it? I mean, I understand.
Well, I think as I said in the interview you're citing, I think as I said, I actually think there's a growing consensus, at least privately among world leaders, that this is the case.
Well, what does that mean? I mean, trade sanctions have been tried, haven't worked.
Well, I wouldn't say they haven't worked. I think there is some real.
The goal still seems to be the same.
Look, I think there is some real evidence that the sanctions are biting, that the sanctions are having some impact, certainly on the regime. They may, in the short term, be making them more desperate, but I don't think there's any doubt they're having some impact. They're not dissuading them from the nuclear course at the moment. Whether they're delaying them or not, I think is a matter of debate. But I think the truth of the matter, Peter, is that, well, there's I think a growing belief of a number of governments that my assessment is essentially correct. I think there's still a big uncertainty about what exactly to do. Trade sanctions are something that, you know, just about everybody agrees on at some level, and everybody is doing at some level. But beyond that, these are not easy questions for the world.
Do you talk about, when you're having these discussions, do you talk about military action?
Well, look, I think, as you know, President Obama has said all options are on the table, and I can certainly tell you that when we talk about these issues, we talk about the full range of questions around these issues. But there's certainly no consensus on you know, ultimately how to deal with this matter.
Do you have a view on how it should be dealt with?
My view, Peter, is that on matters like this that are of critical concern to the global community, it's important that Canada work with its allies. I've raised the alarms. I think I've raised the alarm as much as I can, but obviously I don't advocate particular actions publicly. I work with our allies to see if we can get consensus on actions.